and hopefully everybody's okay with that. We have not sent out, this time we'll send out even if we don't put it on YouTube, where people can click on it and do it. Melissa did that for us, Melissa Roberts, and we're trying to transition, and Karen's that's not been her top priority to figure out how to do that transition. I think she can do it, she just hadn't done it yet. So anyway, welcome to everybody, and really glad to see y'all today. And I'm Margaret Feierabend, and I do this as part of Appalachian Promise Alliance and Family Promise of Bristol. And we started doing it in that's not what I wanted to do, in March of 2020 with COVID. We have Bristol Coalitions that has been doing stuff since forever, but we do both sides of town. Bristol Coalitions tends to do that now too, so we partner with them. Anyway, we have been checking in with each other. At that time it was weekly, then it went to every other week, and now we're once a month to try to check in and hear what some of the issues are and share information, etc. So at this point, so we'll have our program with Brian, and then we will have our sharing after that. So, and last time, like we said, was Brooks Gillum from Salvation Army. This time it's Brian Haven of Rest, which are our two overnight shelters in our community. Also, we have our Tri-Cities that have some other options, but in Southwest Virginia, we're kind of us and Kingsport with whatever Kingsport has. There's not as much in the Southwest Virginia area. So important roles in our community. So Brian, with that, I think I gave you permission to share your screen. So if you wanted to go ahead and get started. If folks want to put their information in the chat, and that would be good as we go along. Also, if you all have any questions or comments you want to put in the chat too, and we can go back and hit on those after Brian's done his presentation. So I will let you Brian, go ahead and get started on your presentation. And we want to thank you very, very much. And I'll just say that as working particularly with Family Promise of Bristol, and probably I've worked with Brian off and on in different ways for a while, but more intensely the last couple of years. And it's just a huge, huge pleasure to work with Brian, also with Major Gillum. We have a huge team working with folks who are struggling with being unhoused and being experiencing homelessness. Okay, Brian, sorry to keep going, and go ahead.
All right, thank you. Thank you all, first of all, for having me this morning. I appreciate that. I know that Major Gillum presented last week, or I guess last month, so we may cover some of the same things that are going on at this point. Of course, we want to talk about what the Haven of Rest does, and then some of the challenges that we face in what we do. And I'm sure that's something that's probably common to most of us that are in this line of work, trying to help people and being part of that service community. The Haven of Rest, as you can see, if anybody's coming our way, they are experiencing some type of storm in their life. And so we want to be there to help them through that. Our mission statement is moving precious people from the realm of human suffering to the realm of human flourishing through the power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. We are unashamedly a faith-based 501c3 organization. So we were established in 1955 to reach the lost for Christ, and we're a faith-based 501c3 charity. It was the Christian Businessmen's Committee that was in town at that time. There may be still some others that are still here that we don't know about, but we've lost affiliation with them through the years. But they did a lot of things back in the 60s and that sort of thing to bring like Billy Graham films to the area and things like that, that they felt like they were trying to uplift the community through religious programming and things. They were the ones responsible for the genesis of the Haven of Rest. Haven does not accept government funding. It exists by the generosity of individuals, churches, and local grants. And we're very thankful for the outpouring of support from the community. And our community is basically also in the county, Washington County, and then up into Virginia for the most part, that we get most of our funding from. We're a member of Citygate Network, which is used to be the Association of Gospel Rescue Missions. Its network, Citygate Network, is America's oldest and largest community of independent faith-based crisis shelters and life transformation centers. And thank the good Lord, we get to go to conference next week in Orlando, Florida, with this group. So there'll be about 2,000 or 3,000 people there that are involved in this type of ministry, and it's going to be a great time, I think, of picking some brains and finding out some other things that we can do to benefit the community here. So, what the Haven does. We have a men's dorm. We have a women's shelter as well. We provide up to 60 days of shelter. As you can see, food, clothing, showers, and laundry are provided. We're faith-based. We're a sober living environment. Drugs do get in from time to time. We always have to be on our guard to make sure that we're looking out for that. We do drug testing when someone comes in to baseline where they're at. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about some challenges coming up. We do morning devotions and evening chapel. Chapel is done by volunteers from the community, churches, and lay people who feel like they have a message that can be an encouragement to our guests. We do a weekly guest evaluation, and wherein we try to make sure that people are trying to make improvements in their lives. We are essentially trying to shepherd them from where they are to where they are in a much better position. Sometimes we make a lot of progress with people in the 60 days they're here. Sometimes we make, very little. So, but people sometimes cycle through, and it's on, maybe their third or fourth trip when something clicks and they realize that they want to move forward and do something with their life. We do provide transportation for medical care, to take people to mental health care appointments, to appointments with their probation or parole officers. We do something we just started doing, probably for about the last 6 months. We load everybody up in the van, and there's another van that comes and helps out too, but we go to Celebrate Recovery meetings. And that's been a tremendous help to a lot of the folks here. And then, as many of you know, there's Emma, who's here. She's just completed her master's degree, and is going to go to work on her doctorate, but she's beginning to do a lot of on-site counseling for folks that need help with addiction recovery or some other things. And she's also working through Bristol Housing and Redevelopment Association. She's doing things with them on their site, or we'll be starting here next month. We also have transitional housing. Transitional housing is a 6-month to 24-month program. Guests are accepted from the men's mission dorm, and the things that this does is it provides safety for people. A lot of people, when they're, especially in the situation we face now with only limited affordable housing in our area, you don't want people going back to the street. And so this is a situation where it provides us the opportunity to house them. They pay a rent at that point. Anybody who goes into this program has to have some form of income. It's a very nominal rent. We have accountability for folks in there. It's, again, sober living. It allows people to heal. People who have been homeless have a lot of things they have to heal from, whether it be recovering from drugs and alcohol, whether it be some type of PTSD, just a lot of things that they've gone through, and it takes time. And so, 6 to 24 months is a pretty good length of time. It allows us to build into them. We do have discipleship training during that time, where the people who stay in the dorm have to be in chapel every day while they're here. When we begin to get people over to transitional housing, it's just that we're trying to transition them back to housing. So it's a situation they go like on a Wednesday evening, and they go one time on Sunday, and that fulfills their requirement, and they're free to do other things the rest of the time. And so it gets to be a little bit more like life when you're on your own. And then we do some life skills training things. We try to help people. You may have a job when you get there, but you may want to go to another job. So we help people deal with things like how to interview, how to be a good worker and be very supportive of your team where you work. Just a lot of things that we try to help people with while they're there so that they can continue to move forward and make the progress that they want to make. We also have the Haven Food Pantry. The Haven Food Pantry is responsible for everything that takes place on this campus food-wise. We do 3 meals per day per guest. It's available. Not everybody takes advantage of it because a lot of people in transitional living are either gone for jobs or they decided they want to start preparing their own meals. And there's a kitchen in the transitional facility for that. So we could be feeding up to 150 meals in one day just to our guests. Then we have the community evening meal that we do each day, Sunday through Friday. And that has just grown exponentially. It's a situation sometimes we're the only ones doing it on a particular night. Sometimes there are other people in town, like Salvation Army will be serving, or someone else will be doing something. But right now, last night we did 100 people. We've done as many as 126. We used to just do like 40 to 60 throughout the month, and like I say, it's just gone crazy. So we also do food boxes for individuals and families that are facing food insecurity. We're doing quite a few families each month, and that's become quite an extensive operation as well. And then we provide food for area pantries. There's a couple of groups that do things for youth. We also do another church, and so we do try to help out with those things as well. The community evening meal serves a pretty diverse group of people. We have the street homeless. We have people that we would throw into the category of ALICE. We have those who are struggling to make ends meet, and in terms of getting by on fixed incomes, some retirees. We've got like great grandmothers taking care of their great grandchildren, and they need quite a bit of help. And then we have people with disabilities that come on in their electric wheelchairs and things like that. So it is one of our greatest opportunities for street outreach. We're able to meet a lot of physical needs at those times. We're able to meet a lot of spiritual needs as well. We've had some people, we've got one guy that is dealing with liver disease. He's just needs a lot of support at this point. We've just had one of our longtime people that come our way that just got diagnosed with terminal ovarian cancer. And so to be able to meet with those people in a time of need that they have and provide some things to them is really a blessing to us and hopefully to them as well. The meals that we serve, we try to put together high calorie meals and then just put something fun on there as well. So it's what we can do to keep people going while they're out there. We also have an infant ministry. Our core thing is to provide diapers, wipes, and clothing, but anything that we have that is helpful to parents, we provide. We don't do anything as far as formula or anything like that because that's very hard for us to get, number one, and number two, very strict rules on how that has to be passed out. But we do have things like pack and plays from time to time. We've had car seats, we've had bassinets, we've got just other things. If we've got it, we will provide it to parents if they need it. The Haven Thrift Store is our next area that we minister from. It is our enterprise that we have on campus. That's on the Pennsylvania Avenue campus. And we do provide clothing vouchers for people who come in. It's a situation that we don't require any type of identification. We allow people to come in, and if they say they're needing clothing, we'll provide it. We usually provide a number of shirts, number of pants. If it's wintertime, jackets or coats. We provide shoes, socks, underwear, just whatever they need to be able to make do for being out in the elements. The second category there is housewares for new renters. We can't do this for everybody, although we try to do it for as many as we can. Sometimes we don't have the ability to do it because we just don't have the things there, but we get a lot of housewares. So if somebody in one of your agencies has a situation where, hey, I just got my own place, I need some help, It wouldn't be things like furniture or anything like that because we're so limited on that. But as far as plates, dishes, maybe sheets, towels, things of that nature, we can provide to people. And we're very, very glad to do that. And like I say, if we've got it, we provide it. If we don't, we can't. We do some natural disaster relief from the standpoint if somebody has a flood, a fire, something of that nature, we can go ahead and provide them with a limited amount of furniture, appliances if we've got them. We do try to help out with people that are in a very bad place in that particular situation. And so that gives you pretty much a thumbnail sketch of what the Haven does on a normal basis. We want to look at some of the challenges we've got, and some of the challenges we have. We need capacity for more men's dorm space. That's something we'd like to address in the days ahead. One of the reasons we have a problem is not only because we don't have the space, but we don't have the staff. It's one of those situations. It's very hard to get people in there. Our building is not really as set up as efficiently as we would like it to be. So we need supervision if we're going to have more people in there. So we've pretty well capped at about 25 right now, although we have capacity for 38. And there are times when we could really exceed that. So that's something that we face as a challenge. Food. We talked about all the things that the food pantry does. We've got the evening meal. We've got everybody that we serve here are 3 meals a day. We've got the pantries that we supply, and we've got the individuals that we provide food to for families and individuals. Right now, demand is really up, and I think probably that's something that's been seen all around the city. And if any of you have gone to the grocery store lately, you know how expensive that is. So people aren't giving like they used to. A lot of the stores have cut back considerably. So we're making ends meet, and God's blessing us right now. But we just hope that we don't run into a problem down the road and have to cut any type of services. We mentioned staffing with the men's dorm. Staffing has been just kind of a mess for everybody since COVID came, and we've all felt the inability to get the type of staff that we'd like to get or the number of people we'd like to staff. We are really, really short in our women's ministry at this point. We've got one lady who is covering the entire work week, 7 days a week. You know, we don't have a lot of women down there, but it's still something that she has to be there. She comes in at, between 4 and 5 in the afternoon. She doesn't get out until 9 o'clock the next morning to go to her own home. And so she's there all night. And so aside from the fact that it's costing us a fortune in overtime, it's really a strain on her. And I don't think that she has the ability or the bandwidth right now to give the kind of care to people that we'd like to be giving to people in that situation. So if you know a woman who would be very interested in dealing with people who are experiencing homelessness and are trying to get back on their feet, please send them our way. Affordable housing in Bristol, everybody's been dealing with that. We have the emergency shelter. We have people come through there all the time. They make great progress. They get jobs. They get a lot of things straightened out in their life if they have substance abuse issues and things like that. But then they get to the point where it's time for them to leave or go to the transitional living. A lot of them don't really want to go to transitional living for whatever reason. They want to go find their own place. Some of them are going back out to the street, and it breaks my heart because we see them coming to the evening meal then. And a lot of times we see that they have not continued on the way they were going. So like I say, that really breaks our heart. We still have the drop off of people from hospitals, mental institutions, and things like that. It doesn't happen like it used to, but we still do have people that are, somebody drives them up, drops them off, and they say, where are you from? Well, we came from an institution up in Virginia somewhere, and so we're kind of stuck with it at that point. And sometimes it's a little bit more than we can handle. Sometimes it's a physical issue, sometimes it's a mental health issue, and we try to make the best of a bad situation at that point. And I have to say that we get a tremendous amount of help from Ballad Health, Frontier Health, and just different providers in the area. So we're very, very thankful for our partners that we have in the area. This is just something that what we try to do is have somebody call us who is a caseworker for the person that we're trying to check in from one of those institutions. and know what's going on, so we can say if they're a good fit or not. Sometimes that process just gets short circuited. I wrote about the meth crisis next. The level of meth use in our community is just totally out of control at this point. And I will say that we're starting to see in the drug tests we're getting to see a lot more fentanyl at this point. It has made its way into our area, and it's become a problem as well. If you've seen people on meth, you know how disturbing that can be. And it's very, very hard to get people off of meth. And we are trying, by our being a sober living environment, to support people in their efforts to do that. And some people make progress for a time. Some people can make progress for a long time, but it is something that's very, very hard to get off of, and something that we would like to see, a lot more emphasis put on that, because at the federal level, it's all about opioids, and that's not what we're seeing in our area nearly as much as we're seeing meth at this point. Finding affordable, effective substance abuse rehabilitation programs. It's very hard to get people into things. We've got people that we take to Turning Point in Johnson City to see if they can be detox and that sort of thing. And in the past, it would be a fairly easy thing for them to just transfer into something like Magnolia Ridge or something like that down in Johnson City. That's not happening anymore. It's a situation. It seems like there's a lot more call upon Turning Point, and they just don't have the bandwidth to handle everybody that's coming through. My wife and I, because of some things that have happened, we have taken somebody in for the past about month and a half now, and we've been helping them stay clean while they get everything out of their system so they can go to a rehab in North Carolina. That's one of the problems too, is finding places that will take somebody that is not clean at the time they go in. And this gentleman did not feel good about being at the Haven because he knew too many people that did use, or where he could get it. So we took him with us, and he's been a real joy to us at the house. And we're gonna hate to see him go. I think we're gonna be able to take him to the rehab tomorrow. So, God is blessing his life, and I pray that continues. The mental health care accessibility issues, I think everybody in the area has probably experienced that as well. There's just not enough, and it's a situation. It's hard for people who are on the street to access it. I would love to see some outreach from some of the mental health care facilities in town. It seems like everything is just in-house for most of them, and that's an area that I think that we'd like to see some help from them, and also from law enforcement, to kind of bridge that gap. But everybody is suffering from, they don't have the bandwidth to take care of the amount of issue that's in our area. So we deal with it as best we can. Like I say, we're providing transportation to and from places for people to access that health care. But again, we're limited, and there's just a tremendous need out there. That's pretty much what I have to present at this point. Does anybody have any questions that they would like at this point?
Or comments?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment, and that is, Brian, you and the Haven of Rest do such remarkable work, and hearing you talk about it, overwhelming. Good job.
Thank you.
Other folks? I've got a question. And so for the food pantry, so some of the folks on here, can they refer folks to your food pantry, or is it who your folks that come directly to you, or how does the food pantry work?
The food pantry is a situation anybody can call. We do it by appointment. It's on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. We do require some documentation in most cases. We do have people who come that are walking that don't have any documentation. We will help them out as well. But if it's a family or whatever, we like to know, what their financial situation is and that sort of thing. So we're not augmenting them, something where they can afford something they don't need to be affording. So we are getting, like I say, we're getting quite a few people and individuals and families coming at this point. It's been up considerably since, all the COVID relief stopped. And so it stays busy. I can't believe we're actually going back to the point where we see a little bit more of a normal flow of things. Back in the day, it used to be people would get their checks at the beginning of the month and you wouldn't see anybody until about mid-month, and then you see a lot of people. And we are starting to get back to that, but up to this point, it's just been wide open all the time. So.
Okay. Also, I would like to point out, I know I've heard in the community people who think that both Salvation Army thrift store and your thrift store, that it requires people who are in extreme poverty to buy their things there. So want to be sure that everybody can answer that when they hear that there are clothing vouchers that are provided. So so when you give your things to those organizations, they are able to go directly. The other is, I know it's a social enterprise, right? So it helps with funding of the program and is critical. So
between that and our recycle program, it provides about half of the income that we need to run our operation. And the other thing about thrift store is there are some really nice things that come in there, because we're blessed to work with a local company that does estate sales. And so we get some really high quality stuff, not all the time, but a lot of the time. So it's worth coming by, even if you think you might be kind of above shopping in a thrift store. There's just some really good stuff that comes in there. So I'd encourage you to at least take a look sometime. So.
Yeah. Yep. It takes stopping by periodically. It just is the luck of the draw for getting there when something exciting. Yep. And I know I've gotten some nice things at various places like that. So, and in this day and age, a lot of estate sales and folks my age who are starting to downsize or whatever, and our children don't want the kind of furniture and things that we have. They want plain and IKEA and modern design, etc. So, let's see if there was something else. And you already answered my question about meth versus fentanyl or opioids, that you're seeing more of the meth than the opioids at this point. So
I will say it's very rare to have anyone come in that does not have something in their system. At the very, very minimum, it's THC for marijuana. We see a lot of kratom. We actually test for kratom, but that's something you can buy legally anywhere. And of course, alcohol the same way. But it's very rare that you don't have anybody who comes out without some type of drug. And sometimes you wonder how they're walking. They've got so much stuff in them. We had a guy checked in last night that had 6 different substances in the system. And he just got out of jail, so I'm wondering how he did that. But again, that's one of those things that really, hits you in the face about how prevalent drugs are, how easy they are to get, and just how easy it is to fall into addiction.
Right. And I think it's, I know Sam Ferguson talks as our staff that not with as much substance use disorders, that it doesn't necessarily cause folks to become homeless. We could think that is it, but it may be just as often as once they're homeless, it's how do you help yourself feel better. It's easier access because of your community you're around. So some of that may come after the actual homelessness. So so just trying to keep that in mind as we think about how people come to it. Yes, Brian.
Oh, I was going to agree with you there from the standpoint that we've seen so many people who are in that situation where they have become homeless through loss of a job, loss of housing. We've watched people in this current market with the, the house, affordable housing from a standpoint. We watch people get to the point where their landlord decides they're gonna up the rent, or they're going to, close it and remodel it so they can up the rent.
Yep.
And people who've never been homeless before, they've always paid their rent, they've taken care of their debts, been very responsible. And, they get out, and then,
They
you
do.
think about how hard it is on the street. And you think about the laws that have started criminalizing being out on the street, and with the camping laws and things of that nature. So when all that hit on the Tennessee side with, it could be a felony, everybody goes to the Virginia side. Virginia side, in turn, they do a misdemeanor situation. And people are, I think that's one of the reasons people are turning to meth so much. First of all, it was keeping them warm during the winter. It's burning their bodies up from the inside out. We've seen people come to the evening meal when it's 20 degrees in a t-shirt and they're sweating. And it's just because they're on meth. And then meth is one of those things that keeps you awake and alert, and paranoid as all get out as well. But you don't get your stuff stolen, you don't get beat up or anything like that. So it's one of those things. You can't judge people who are on the street for using those drugs. They've got a set of circumstances that they're dealing with that we have no conception of. And they need our sympathy and they need our help more than anything else. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, some of it for those of us who work, and that's most everybody on here. The laws that require people then to stay awake all night, and when they already have some mental health issues, et cetera, and then they're sleep deprived, it does not serve anybody well. Doesn't serve them well. It doesn't serve the helpers, does not serve the community that's on the street doing business. That it's just really makes it very difficult. All right, well, if anybody else have any other comments to share with this topic?
Curious.
Yes,
Do you have any
Trish.
kind of way that families can be placed together?
You talk about families and what our situation is with them at this point.
Patricia, say it again. It broke up.
I was just asking, are families able to stay together, or are they broken up like with the women on one side and the men on the other side? And what about the children?
We have not been in the working in that particular area since COVID. During COVID, we held our doors open and we were waiting for families to come in as they had in the past, and it just didn't happen. There was so much money out there from the federal government, so many places doing motels, and we just didn't get anybody in. And even after COVID, we're still not seeing a lot of interest in people coming into a housing situation with us. It's a very delicate situation from a standpoint that when you bring a family in with children, and you try to bring them in for a set period of time to get them back on their feet, and at least have that deadline that we hope that they can meet. Well, you've got things that work against that now. You've got, again, the affordable housing situation, but you also have a situation when if they can't leave and they're not doing what they need to do to move forward, you're kind of the villain because you're putting them out, and especially with children. And that has just been a real problem. And like I say, we're just not getting the interest anyway. So I would like to get back into that particular area at some point, but it just doesn't seem like it's the right time for us at this point.
And Trish, for Salvation Army, they can take a family at a time.
Yeah.
That can accommodate a family, but it also reduces the number of other guests or clients that they can serve for being able to keep them together. But it's very much an issue. But as Brian said, we're not seeing as much, which might be because people know there's no good solution, so they don't come forward. And I think Andrea can talk about the home program a little bit. I think there are a few things that help, but certainly we could have more. So, and Family Promise of Bristol used to do it by doing rotations with churches. It never was fully embraced in our community. It worked well in Johnson City and Kingsport. We were 10 years later starting it here, and it just did not catch on as well. And that program nationwide with COVID, they moved away from that rotation. Some of them still have our families in static sites, but not rotating through the congregations, and actually some recognition of that being pretty traumatizing for particularly for children to be uprooted every week. So it's interesting, what we learn and trends, etc. So anyway, thank you for your question. Okay, anybody else for discussion? Okay. We'll go with Trish. Do you have any updates from the health department? We'll go with who's spoken up.
We are open and we are doing clinics and things like that. And probably within the next 3 months, WIC will start being in office, not for everybody, but just for new people and maybe like children who are supposed to come in on a yearly basis, where they do it every 6 months. They do sub-starts and checkups and things like that. So WIC is going to start being in person just for a little bit. Still, the majority of WIC will be on the phone, calling and contacting them like that. But there will be a certain part where they have to come in.
Okay, well, I think we caught some of that. So that's good that y'all are getting back to full service. So we appreciate that. Cindy Rocket, you're next.
Okay, great. So Crossroads continues on. We are hiring an additional nurse practitioner who will begin on July 1st. So that should help us out. Right now, we're a little bit delayed in being able to get new people in because there's such demand, but we're bringing in that new nurse practitioner. We continue to work with John Wesley United Methodist Church about purchasing the parsonage that's next door to us and developing that as Crossroads Wellness Center. So we're not sitting still. There's no grass growing under our feet. So anyhow, keep us in your prayers. Also, Sarah Overbeck is on this call, and Sarah, as part of our wellness program, is offering yoga classes at Cumberland Park. So Sarah, can you unmute yourself and tell us about that? Sorry.
Oh, no warning whatsoever for this. Yeah, so they're beginner friendly yoga classes for anyone. You don't have to be a patient here. It's just for our community also. And if you don't have any props of your own, we have some that you can borrow. You just need to let us know.
And when is that? What's the timing on that, Sarah?
It will be Mondays in June and July at 5:30 in the evening.
All right, at Cumberland Park.
Yes.
Also, it just I've been interested and haven't pursued it yet at the Family Promise Day services. I would love to have some chair yoga to start off the day with some of our folks who would be interested. So I don't know if that's anything that you have any interest or ability, or can refer us to anybody to see if we can pursue that.
Yeah, I have a friend that does chair yoga at the Slater Center. I have not taken a course in that. It's on my list of hopeful to-dos this year. But I'm happy to connect you with her in the meantime.
That'd be great.
Sure.
That'd be great. And also just FYI for probably most of y'all know, with trauma, the recognition that PTSD and the recovery from ACEs, et cetera, is related to redeveloping our brain. And some of those connections are helped by yoga and meditation and some of the things that we haven't thought till recently. Science is telling us more about what works. So Sarah, that's great. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Thanks. So All right, Brittany, you showed yourself, so why don't you give us an update?
Sure. Well, hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Brittany Bowles, and I'm a community engagement specialist for the Strong Accountable Care community. And we are a collective impact coalition that's improving the health, physical, social, and economic health of Northeast Tennessee and Southwest Virginia. And one thing that I thought would be good for this group to know about is our grant-funded program on the Northeast Tennessee side from DHS is about to kick off here in just, I think, a week or two. And that is the Strong Families Northeast Tennessee program. And what that is any family who is eligible for any type of government benefits, SNAP, WIC, all of those things, with minors in the home or a child on the way, would be eligible for this program, and it is to help lift them out of poverty. There are so many different services and milestone payments and different family partners that are going to be, paired up with those families and really with a very low caseload and be able to coach them and help them, I think, for around 18 months. And so we're really excited that we're going to have that link live here in just a couple weeks. And so if you're a part of the Strong ACC, you will get that probably first, because I will send that out via MailChimp. But if you're not a partner, it's simple, easy, free for your organization to join, and that gets you on our distribution list, and you will get that link and then be able to start hopefully enrolling families in that program in a couple weeks. So again, if you have more questions about that, I can drop my email in the chat, and then I can connect you with the director of that program. Her name is Brooke Atchley.
Thank you very much, Brittany. So, Andy, you're present, so give us a little update.
Thank you. And Brian, thanks. That was just fantastic information. I don't know if you ever get to sleep, but anyway, great job there. I'm Andy Strader. I'm with Optima Health. We do government programs. We're contracted by the state for Medicaid benefits in Virginia. And one of the things that's changing, updating, July the 1st, Virginia Premier members will become Optima Health members. And anybody that that interacts with the Medicaid population on the Virginia Premier side, if you get questions, letters are being sent out and new cards will be sent out. And that does take effect as of July the 1st. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or case management or member services. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy, and thanks for attending these meetings. We appreciate you. Andrea, United Way.
I am, excuse me, I'm Andrea, and I'm the resource coordinator with United Way of Bristol, Tennessee, Virginia. And Brian, great job, and so appreciate the work that you do and the partnership that we have with you. We have a couple of direct service programs that are still going on. Margaret referenced one of them. It's called the HOME program, HOME, helping others maintain essentials. And it is an 18 months to 24 program for those who are unsheltered, that when they find housing, we can offer some financial assistance to help with the deposit and first month's rent, as well as some case management and some wraparound services for residents who live in the city of Bristol, Tennessee, and for the residents who live in the city of Bristol, Virginia. On the Bristol, Virginia side, funds are limited. That grant does end June the 30th. And so those funds have pretty much already been allocated out, but there is still a little bit left over. So we are happy to talk with anyone that you know that you think might be good for that program. Have them give us a call. My contact information is in the chat. The other program that we have right now is COVID Cares utility assistance for residents who live in the city limits of Bristol, Tennessee. As you probably can imagine, this program has slowed down quite a bit, but again, there is still some grant funding available for that, and it is good. I mean, it's available until June 30th of this year as well. And I think, oh, we do have our Ride United. It is a transportation gap grant. It's a partnership with our worldwide United Way. It's a partnership agreement with Lyft. And so transportation is a huge barrier in this area. So that is a gap grant. It is limited in distance. We're not able to go very far. But again, if it's for employment to help get clients to and from work. So, again, if you know of someone, I can't guarantee that they will fit within the distance frame or the cap of the grant, the monetary cap of the ride. But if I can make it work, I'll make it work for them, because it's important for our clients to have employment, and we're working at ways to try to combat or overcome or help overcome that transportation barrier. So thank you, Margaret.
Thank you very much, Andrea. So Hannah, updates from you?
Yes, hi. So I'm with the Appalachian Literacy Initiative, and we provide books to children all throughout the Appalachian region. Now that the school year is coming to an end, we are going to be set up at Border Bash on June 6th and July 21st in Bristol to promote summer literacy and a love of reading by giving free books to children 0 to 16. So we hope that you guys can share that information, because we would love to, promote that. And we want to see you guys. We want to say hi, and we want to tell you more about our organization.
Thank you. And thank you so much for the work that you do. And it definitely complements the Imagination Library that we know about for many years. And your project is newer over the past several years and been expanding. So we really appreciate everything that y'all are doing. And as someone who reads a lot and has always loved reading, I love seeing it being encouraged with our children and with our kids. So thank you very much. Thanks for attending. So Ellen Tolton.
Yeah, good morning. I guess several things have been in the news recently for the city of Bristol, Virginia, mostly having to do with the budget. The CDBG annual action plan was approved at the last council meeting, and we were able to make I think approximately 9 to 10 awards to some of our public service agencies. We are very limited in how by 15% of how much of our award we can use for public service projects, and our award was less this year than it was last year. So we received wonderful applications. Some people or some organizations got full funding, some didn't get any, most got partial funding. But anyway, I'm happy to say that we could put some of the CDBG dollars out into the community for next year.
Thank you, Ellen. And your counterpart, Christina Blevins, is not here today. She's enjoying the long weekend. She's kind of in the same status too. I think action plan been submitted. I don't know that she's gotten it back yet. It's approved by city council anyway, and the funding our budget will have the first reading next week with what is suggested for some of the funding. So anyway, so thank you, Ellen, for coming to our meetings and for everything that you do as well. So appreciate it. And let's see, Danielle Hahn, did you want to share anything?
I don't have anything to share. Just want to say, it's been wonderful to listen to and hear all of the wonderful things that the community you guys are doing for the community. So we do have our grant request, feel free to submit. We'll be accepting those until August 31st.
All right. And that's with the United Company Foundation, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. And again, thanks for participating. Erica Ashford from Appalachian Promise Alliance, are you able to speak? I know you were on the road. And she might not be able to. So it's grant writing time for Appalachian Promise Alliance, a lot of different things going on. And looking at doing even more than what's already done with parenting education. And check out the website, appalachianpromise.org, but also you can still get to it through bristolspromise.org. And there's all our programs are on there, but the Parenting Educators Network is very helpful to look up what kind of resources there are in a whole region for parenting education that might fit some of the folks that you work with. Real quickly, and I can't believe we're going to make our time pretty well. Did I leave anybody out?
Margaret, I did have one more piece of information that I did want to share about the Greyhound bus station. There's no Greyhound bus station, but there is a Greyhound bus that drops off and picks up at the gas station at the corner of State and Commonwealth. And so it usually picks up around 3:30 in the afternoon or 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. I can tell you that United Way doesn't have any funding for their Reunite program as of right now. And if we get funding, we will let everyone know. But I did want to let you know that there is a Greyhound pickup and drop off station. I can also tell you that tickets can only be ordered over the phone, and they charge a $20 processing fee. Their website is not updated to take credit card payments through their website. So it does have to be done over the phone. So anyways, just wanted to share that update. I don't know how many were aware of that, but that's what we have found out.
So Andrea, I found out some and meant to share information a while back and forgot, but what I hadn't gotten is that I was going to find out, can you buy them when you get on the bus? Because I couldn't find how to buy them. Do you have that phone number that you could share? You could send it. I can send it out if you need to look for it, but I had difficulty finding. I found online the connections, but I did not find how to buy the tickets. So
what I did, no, you cannot purchase it on the bus, or when you get on the bus.
Right.
What I found was I went to the Greyhound website, and then somewhere on there it says help with purchasing a ticket, and there's a toll-free number there. I will go ahead and send that out to you.
Okay.
But that is how I got it. And so yes, yeah. And I will say the gentleman that helped, I'm sure it's a third-party agency, was very friendly and very, very helpful. What they do is they email the ticket to like if we were to purchase it, they would email it to whatever email address I give. And then you can also put the client's cell phone number. So then the client is aware of updates that go on. So,
okay. Thank you. And that was a relief to learn that we did have that service. Anyway, and it makes sense not to have a station. The Virginia Breeze that goes, the more direct bus that goes up through from Southwest Virginia to DC, it doesn't have a station. You buy your stuff online. Anyway, okay, folks are beginning to leave. I just wanted to give for Family Promise at Bristol, we're beginning a volunteer transportation system for our folks, so we can have some help getting them when they're ready to get their IDs, et cetera. And we require 2 folks. So at least to start with, we'll have 1 volunteer and 1 staff person. Then some future time as our volunteers get comfortable and when we know a client, we may send a couple of volunteers to do some of the transporting. But we're hoping to grow that program over the next several months. The other, just for Family Promise, several things. We will celebrate 1 year in July. And we've had a few folks who've been at Salvation Army since the time that we were started with working on their projects and their housing, et cetera, that are finally being housed. With the housing shortage, it has taken 6 months or more to find housing for some of our folks. Several of them are going to Kingsport because of availability. Also, our Sam Ferguson, the director and head case manager, has talked that this is the first time that he has been able to continue to follow people. So he has checked in with our clients who are housed and be sure that they have some support and help them adjust to being back in housing again. The other success we've had is we just Larissa Copley trained with SOAR, which I forget what it stands for, but it's to help complete disability applications and learn all the ins and outs of that. She's done a few applications and she just heard from the first one she's heard from has been awarded disability. So that's a huge a relief for that client, but also it's huge for Larissa being successful. So we're just thrilled with that. And then Brian talking about mental health services, et cetera. We do have a lot of partners who are coming to the day services. And we just recently, Highlands Community Services started coming on site. We've had Frontier, we've had somebody come in once a week for a couple of hours, and we're learning more about Frontier's processes, et cetera, so we can utilize their services more successfully. So, and I can say we're almost a year old and we continue to find new partners and new services that we maybe weren't aware of or not aware of the extent to which they were able to provide support. So it's a complex web of resources and help, and just really appreciate everybody in finding those, and also we all need to appreciate what it takes to be able to learn all the ins and outs. So with that, does anybody else think of anything else they wanted to add? Seeing no one. Brian, again, everybody's very grateful, and I'll say I know many of us go above and beyond, and certainly when you take people into your own home and you do the extra things is huge. So we thank you for everything that you do in our community and the work that you've chosen to do, and greatly appreciate you. So
I want to say thank you to everybody that we've worked with. So many of these agencies, probably they see Emma's face a lot more than mine, but I appreciate the teamwork that the Bristol community shows in trying to help people move forward. So we're very thankful for that.
Thank you. Yep, and thank everybody else who's behind all the people here, your boards and your volunteers and your co-workers, et cetera. It does take a village, and we're working hard to do that. So, okay, I'm going to stop recording, and I'm hanging on to copy the chat, et cetera. So we'll see y'all at the next meeting. Did I even announce that? It's, I'll say it for the recording. Bristol Coalition meets June 13th at noon with hybrid, and we'll meet again via Zoom on May 23rd. Excuse me, June 23rd. I think the date's right. The month was wrong. We'll be in touch and thank you all very, very much. Have a great, great weekend. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Danielle, are you still on? Nope.